back. My name is Charlie, and it's an interesting time to be Charlie right now. I have one baby, and my wife is like 40 weeks pregnant, so I am about to have a second baby. She hasn't had the baby yet, so I'm just still here. I've been incredibly busy just trying to get the house ready. I feel like there's 3 million things that need to be done at all times, and so we're running around like crazy trying to get it done. I have not had any time to film in the past week, and I also just like no time and no motivation, because this is like a hobby that I do for me that's fun, and there are so many other things that I need to direct my energy towards, or want to, all that stuff. So this has just been on the back burner for sure. So this video is coming out late, for example. I missed my Friday upload, which is fine. I was annoyed, or not annoyed, but like bummed that I had to do that, or that I chose kind of to do that, but it doesn't really matter. Like I said, there's a lot of things happening that are way more important. So anyway, we're here now. I am going to film this video, and it's going to go out when it goes out. I don't really know when that's going to be. If my wife goes into labor right now, then it's not going to be for a while, but we'll see. For now, I just want to sit here and talk to you about some books. I think like 9 books, honestly, so I'm going to try to go pretty quickly through all of them. This is not going to be like a full October wrap-up video that I normally would do, just because, like I said, I'm about to have a baby. I'm not going to film that video. I'm definitely going to be taking at least that week off, because, yeah, you get it. You get it. So for right now, I'm just going to sit here and give you a little bit of a reading check-in. I'm not going to talk about the books that I plan to read next, because I have no idea what is in store for me. So I'm just going to talk about the books that I've read. The books that I've read here, this is going to include 2 that I started and finished in September, and then there are 5 books that I read in October so far, and 2 more that I am currently reading, and I probably will finish them sometime in the next few days, but not there yet. So yeah, we'll pick it up from there. The first book that I want to talk about is Darth Bane. Darth Bane, I talked about a decent amount in my last video, not my last video, my last wrap-up, my September wrap-up. I mentioned it in that wrap-up because I had already started it, but I hadn't gotten to the end yet. I was really close when I filmed it, but whatever. I didn't finish it. So I finished it since then, and my opinion it stayed pretty much the same. That book was fantastic. I mentioned in that video that I'm not like a Star Wars head. Like I don't know a ton about Star Wars. I've seen the movies, or most of the movies. I've not really seen any of the shows. I've read nothing else before Darth Bane in terms of like Star Wars books. So I was a newbie. I was very intimidated by the Star Wars universe, but this is a great place to start, if you ask me. I had a great time. I did not feel overwhelmed by anything. I was very comfortable in it, and it was really, really, really good. The characters were great. It was from a cool perspective, because it's kind of, Darth Bane is the guy that we're following. I thought he'd be like the main villain, and he kind of is, but he's also our main character. So that was really cool. I feel like you don't see the antagonist's point of view very often, at least not like this. It was the focus. He was our guy. So that was really great. I liked that, and I am fully, like, I'm in it. I'm like ready to go with more Star Wars books. I've read 1 more since then, and I cannot wait to get back into the universe. Honestly, get back into this Darth Bane like trilogy. I think it's a trilogy at least. I think there are 3 books that are like directly tied together. So cannot wait for book 2. Highly, highly recommend Darth Bane for anybody at all interested in Star Wars books, or Star Wars in general. After Darth Bane, I picked up a graphic novel called Helen of Wyndhorn, which I gave 4 stars, which I think was maybe a little bit generous, but it was really, really cool, and the art was absolutely stunning. It was really, truly gorgeous artwork, but I don't know if I really got it. Like the ending, I didn't super get it, and I didn't. There were kind of 2 timelines that we were following. Like there was the past, and then there was the present. And the present day, I didn't care about, honestly. Like I didn't need any of that. I think it could have been a fully fleshed out story without any of the present day stuff. Like you could cut it not in half because there was a lot less of it, but you could cut all of it out, and I wouldn't care. I wouldn't notice. Wouldn't change anything. So that all that stuff, I didn't care about it. It was how the book ended was in like the present day. I didn't care about it. I didn't really get it. I didn't get what they were trying to say, like the message there. And even some of the stuff in the past, like it was a little hit or miss in terms of like my full comprehension of it, but it was all very cool. Like the past part of it, at least, was really cool. There were like, you know, a lot of really cool character designs and just interesting things happening, but it just wasn't ever fully fleshed out. It wasn't fully explained. It wasn't just not fully explored. So I feel like it could have been a 4-star read, which is, I gave it 4 stars, but it really wasn't. It could have been if they spent more time on the past, and maybe even did like, if the past was the present and they spent more time on the past of that past, like if I got even more backstory and more of the lore, that would have been cool. I would have preferred that, and then take out what is, you know, take out the future stuff. I didn't, yeah, you get it, I think, maybe. I don't know if this is making any sense. I already have baby brain, maybe. But anyway, it probably should have been a 3-star read, or like I probably should have given it 3 stars, but I bumped it to the 4 because of the art alone, which I don't feel bad about. So I'm giving it 4 stars, and I'm comfortable with that. But just know that the art really held a lot of weight there. After I finished Helen of Wyndhorn, there was a little bit of time left in September before I could pick up my like October reads, which I had planned out a little bit in advance, especially my first read in October. I really wanted to start that on October 1st. So I needed something else to tide me over in the last couple of days, and I picked up Star Wars Death Troopers. It's like a bit of a horror zombie Star Wars book, and it was, again, really fun. I gave this 4 stars. I'm not going to tell you too much about it, just because it was like really quick, and again, like last month, and my brain I don't have big memory stuff, so I remember what it was about, and that's about it. Pretty much, we're on some sort of like prison barge drifting through space, and they kind of break down, but they see a drifting Star Destroyer or some other big spaceship out there. I think it was a Star Destroyer. And somebody decides like, oh, we can go onto that abandoned ship and scavenge it for parts that we can use maybe to fix our ship, which again is broken down. So they do that. They go over to the ship, they get some stuff, they come back, sort of. Half of them come back. Half of them don't make it, half of them come back, and they carry with them some disease. They're sick, and that disease gets out, and that's the story. It continues from there. I already said it's a zombie story. That's not a spoiler. It is a zombie Star Wars book, but kind of predictable, but really fun. I had a really, really good time with it, and not entirely predictable, because this is all happening on a spaceship in space, right? So that's neat. I like that. I like the whole thing. I, again, had a really good time with this. Again, you don't really need any prior knowledge of anything. You can just go in and have a good time. I think there is a sequel to this. I don't remember what it's called, but I'll definitely be picking that up. It's, what is it called? I don't know how it's going to have a sequel, honestly, but there is a sequel, and I will be getting to it eventually. So that's it for September. Now we're going to move on into October, and as I do that, I'm realizing that all my numbers that I gave you at the beginning were not accurate. That was already 3 books in September. There are 4 books that I want to talk about that I have finished in October, and then there's 3 books that I'm currently reading. So those are your updated numbers for you if you're keeping track at home. The first book that I read in the month of October is T. Kingfisher's A House with Good Bones. This was a lot of fun. You've probably heard me talk about this a lot if you're not new here, because this was the October buddy read here on the channel. This was the 5th, I believe, T. Kingfisher book that I've read, and it had all the parts that I love from T. Kingfisher books. I love her writing. I love her wit. This had kind of a little bit extra wit, I think. Like it was funnier than I find her books normally, even though they always have a little bit of like levity and humor to them. But yeah, this one especially, it was very funny. I laughed like out loud a few times. The story as a whole was lacking in a few areas. I still would recommend this. I did end up giving it 4 stars, I think, or like a 3.5 is like my true rating. On Goodreads it's a 4, but really, yeah, 3.5 seems fair. It was fun. The main character was fun. The basic story is that main character goes home to visit her mom, to like her childhood home, and things are not right. Things don't feel right. The things don't look right. Like she painted the walls a color that she hates, and she hung old art up on the wall that again her mom hates and she hates, but why did she do it? And she's like defending it. She's like, no, I chose to put that up. It's all fine. And it just doesn't feel right. The main character knows something is up with her mom, but can't put her finger on it. She finds some stuff around the house, like a jar of teeth and things like that, and things get a little out of hand. The main issue that I took, and that most people in the buddy read took with this, is the pacing. The pacing itself was good. Like it was a well-paced story for the first like 70%, and then the last 30% also felt like it was well-paced. But then you glue them together and it felt awkward. Like the first 70% was much slower pace, and then the last 30% was way quick, like too quick probably, but it worked. I thought like it as its own thing in isolation, that pacing works. It just felt too different from the rest of the story. So where I was getting a lot of information, probably maybe too much information in the beginning chunk of the book, I was getting like nothing in the end. And like I ended up still with a ton of questions and things like that. So it was interesting, and there was like some cool bits of it that I've never seen in another book. Like the main character, for example, is an archaeoentomologist. So she studies old dead bugs essentially, and I've never seen that before. So there were cool like bug facts in here, which I liked. There were also some creatures in this book that calling them unique it feels like an understatement. I've never seen anything like them before, and I don't really know that I need to see anything like them again. If you finish the book, you know what I mean. That was a choice, T. Kingfisher. That was certainly a choice. But I have a full review of this book on the channel here. So if you want my full thoughts, you can go check that out, or you can head over to the Fable, which I have linked below, and you can read through some thoughts that I had on it there. That'll probably be more interesting if you've read the book yourself, because a lot of spoilers throughout it. But yeah, it was fun. I would again recommend this to T. Kingfisher fans, but I think at this point, I don't think I would recommend it to somebody new to T. Kingfisher, which I did say that I would do that in the review, but I've had a change of heart on that. I think this is better if you're already a T. Kingfisher fan. While I was reading that one, my wife, she sent me a text one day, and she was like, oh, go to the library because I put a book on hold for us that I want to read with you, and I think you're going to really like it. She just saw this book and thought of me, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's so sweet. I can't wait to see what this is. And I went, and it was this. Garlic and the Vampire. It was very funny. It's like a middle grade like graphic novel. It was adorable. It was really 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 sweet. It's following a little vegetable garden, and they're all like personified, like they're people. They're running around. They're gardening. Like there's a little garlic is the main character, right? And they are gardening garlic, and there's a carrot that grows carrots, and there's things like that. So it turns out there's a witch that has her own garden, and she has animated a bunch of her crops to just keep growing more crops of the same type. Really, really cute. They see this old castle in the woods and there's smoke coming out of the chimney or whatever, and they're like, wait a minute, that's the vampire's house, and he's here, and he's not supposed to be here, and all that stuff. It's just adorable. Middle grade, if that's not your speed, it's not your speed. But if it is, or if you have any young people in your life that you think would be into that, I highly recommend this. I think there's also a sequel to this one too. So whenever I get to that, I'll let you know how that holds up too. But really fun, 5 out of 5, no notes really. And on that note of 5 out of 5, no notes, we have my next read, which was The Lesser Dead by Christopher Bjornman. This book was so good. Very different tonally to Garlic and the Vampire, but so good. Really so good. I think this is my favorite vampire novel that I've ever read at this point. Christopher Bjornman really he does no wrong. I cannot get over this author. I'm obsessed. I have loved every book of his that I've read. This is the fourth? Black Tongue Thief, The Daughter's War, Between Two Fires, The Lesser Dead. I think that's it. This is the fourth Christopher Bjornman novel that I've read. Is that true? I just confirmed that is true. This is the fourth of his books that I've read, but I want to read them all. I'm slowly working my way through all of his stuff, just mostly because I don't want it to end. Like, I don't want it to be over. There's only like 3 more, I think. Those Across the River, the Something Motor Club, and one more about a necromancer. I can't wait, but I'm doling it out slowly because, again, I just can't get over his writing style. It's so compelling. I just love it. I can't put it down. When I pick up his stuff, I really can't put it down. That's enough gushing. What's this book about? Vampires. It's about vampires. Vampires in New York City. They live in like the subways, and they're part of the world. And it's told from the perspective of one of those vampires. And it's just, it's his story. He's going through. There's a lot of it is just like seeing how that works, seeing how it is to be a vampire in New York City. And I don't even remember how far in I was before I saw like the plot. Like, I understood what we're here for, why I'm reading this book, what's the goal, what are they going to overcome, or anything like that. It was a while in, and I can't remember how far in exactly, but and that's not necessarily a con, because I enjoyed that part thoroughly. I just didn't know really where we were going with this, but I had no problem with that. I was here for the ride, and I was loving it. Okay, I can't stop gushing. You should pick it up. If you like vampires, you should pick it up, because there is a plot, and when we find it, and it's really gripping. And then the payoff at the end is immense. It's complicated though. It's not maybe for everyone, potentially. I don't know really if people don't like the ending. I think that I had a little bit of a moment of like, whoa, like, how do I feel about this? And I can't tell you really, but there's something that happens at the end, and it really makes you think, and it makes you rethink about the entirety of the novel, which, again, I can't explain to you what I mean by that without spoilers, but it's one of those books where you put it down and you feel like you should just pick it up again, if that makes sense. Like, I do see myself rereading this, and I don't see that happening in like the far future. I think it's going to happen fairly soon, within the matter of months, but still pretty soon. I need to know all the things that I missed. I think it's always fun to get kind of like a different flavor of vampire, and this definitely delivers on that. There's a lot of what makes vampires like in your brain, like the things that you think of when you think about vampires. A lot of that is in here, but he plays with some of it, like he says that they do have reflections, for example, and he's like, we just don't show up on pictures really good, things like that. So he chooses the things that he wants to stick with, and then goes in the opposite direction of other things. He talks about the invitation system with these vampires is like a little bit different than maybe you would expect, or maybe not even different, but there's a little bit more clarity on it. Like he's pretty specific on how that works with the vampires in here, and plays with a little bit too of like, and I don't really know why this works, but this works and this doesn't. Like the vampire says that. So there are some things that are a little bit up in the air, but it's like, oh, even the vampires don't understand that. So that was kind of neat. I liked it as a whole. I liked all of the characters. I think the audiobook was really great. Christopher Buehlman himself read it, and he has like a little bit of an acting background, and it shows. He's narrated a couple of his audiobooks, and he's really good at it. So I think actually, has he read? I think he's narrated 3 of the audiobooks that I've read of his. I don't think he has narrated his earlier works, but 3 of the ones that I've read, um, I also listen to them via audio, and he's the narrator. He's terrific at that. I will one day have to do a full video just going through all of his books and gushing over this author again and again, so that I can contain it into one place and it doesn't spill out into all of my videos. But for now, it's just going to keep spilling out, just because I really think this is a name that you need to know, and an author that you need to read. So if you haven't yet, highly recommend any of the 4 books that I picked up. Honestly, if you want vampire type horror, The Lesser Dead. If you want like sort of like medieval bubonic plague type horror, like with a little bit of, not a little bit, like religious tones to it, like Christian myth kind of, pick up Between Two Fires. If you want something a little lighter, like a funny D&D-esque type book, not D&D, but like one of those TTRPG kind of campaign type books, Black Tongue Thief is a great starting point. And if you want something really somber and dark and deep and reflective, and like a little sapphic, The Daughter's War. That's the one I would recommend for you. But really you can't go wrong. This just further solidified that for me. But enough about him. The final book that I finished in the month of October so far, because again, I'm still reading 3 books, which I'll touch on in just a second here, is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is my second Grady Hendrix book, the first one being my best friend's Exorcism, which was very fun. And this book also very fun. Like this same kind of vibe, not vibe entirely, but kind of the same level of fun. That's for sure. It's set kind of in the same place. He says in like the foreword or whatever at the beginning of the book that it is set in that same world, and it is set in that same location, which is like the author's hometown, like where he's from and all that. So that's kind of cool. And tonally it does feel very similar. There's a lot of like funny parts, but it's like funny in like a suburban way, like just suburban life funny things, kind of, if that makes sense. But it's not like a comedy. It's not like a fully humorous book. But I don't know what I'm saying here. It was fun though. That is my main word for this book. Definitely a good time. I gave it 4 stars. This is, he says at the beginning, he's like, I wanted to play with like, what if it was like Dracula versus my mom. It's kind of his whole thing, and that came through. It's like suburban moms take on a vampire, and it's kind of really all you need to know. It's just suburban moms in a book club, and they take on a vampire. Like I said, that's it. That's the story. There's more to it. He goes in depth in all these different areas and whatever, but that's it. That's all the setup that you need, really. If you like vampires, it's a good time. Again, it plays with that like vampire flavor stuff. Like these are definitely unique to this world, at least to this one vampire that they deal with. He has like this. Well, I won't even tell you. He's got his own stuff going on. Very, very interesting. It's somewhat feels like, in some ways at least, feels more modern in terms of like the vampire's limitations, but it still has a lot of what makes a vampire in, in your brain. Some of the classics are still there, and then there are some things that are just new, but they don't feel like modernized. They just feel new, and it was interesting. A really interesting choices were made for sure. The ending was really satisfying too. That was really great. The only issue that I had was that I think the book could have been shorter. I just do. I think it could have been shorter. They could have not even cut scenes out of the book, because I think all the scenes that we had were good, and the character work was really, really great. Like all of the characters, I feel like I knew who they were. They were well-rounded, fully developed characters, especially like these moms in this book club. They were really well done. I think I would just say that some of the scenes themselves could have been tightened up. There were multiple times where like a whole conversation happened, and I was like, okay, that didn't really progress the story really, and that didn't give me more to that character. It was like a little redundant. It was like a little just kind of going in circles for a second, and then they moved on from there. Like a straight line and a little loop-de-loop, and then it continues back. It just, that happened a few times, and I felt here and there, I was like, all right, like I didn't need that last couple minutes. We could have progressed a little bit faster. It was never dragging on to the point where I got bored. Certainly not. But it was just kind of looking back. I was like, all right, I don't know that we needed that. Even though that was a good time, I think that might have been unnecessary. And so that took away a little bit, which is why it's like at this 4 stars. But 4 stars is great. Again, great time with this one. The last 3 books that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to kind of speed over probably, because I'm not very far into any of them. 84 pages into one, I'm 150 pages into the other, and the third one I'm 61 pages in. So yeah, not much to say yet. The first one I'll talk about is one that I've talked about several times. This is one that I'm actually currently buddy reading with my wife. This is called The Names. Apologize for the lighting. It is what it is today. That's the book though. The Names by Florence Knapp. This is really well done. This is a debut novel. The writing is so good. This is the one that I'm 140 something pages in, about 150 pages. You can see this is my wife's banana bookmark, and this is my butter bookmark. They're really cool. We're taking turns going back 3 chapters at a time, just because of the way that the story is structured. The only reason that we haven't finished it yet is that it's really heavy, and so we both kind of feel like we can't read it at certain times of the day, and it's all about naming your kid, sort of, and the ramifications of that. The main character goes to the registrar office to finalize a name for her newborn son, and then there's kind of a timeline split between 3 names that she could potentially choose for her son, and it talks about, like what happens in this storyline. Like if I name this boy with, this name, all these things happen. If I go with this name, all these things happen. If I go with this name, all these other things happen. And that's a really cool premise. And it's, again, really, really well done here. But this is really dark. It's a hard read. The things that happen in it, definitely check the trigger warnings if you have any sensitivities. I know that's not always super helpful to say. It's just like, broadly check the trigger warnings, but it really does have a lot. There's like, entrapment and abuse of multiple different forms. Dig into it a little bit before you pick it up, because like I said, I'm having a hard time reading it. My wife's having a hard time reading it, and I'm not like typically super sensitive to a lot of the themes that are touched on in this, but there's a lot going on. But again, it is handled with a lot of care, I think, at least. I haven't read a lot of books that deal with these sorts of topics, but it doesn't feel like it's being used frivolously. Like it's used with intention, and it's used to convey a message, I think. I think Florence Knapp did a really tremendous job with this. Again, I'm not finished, and so I can't tell you how I feel about it in full. I can't tell you how well the execution is, in terms of the full extent of the novel. But I'm really looking forward to finishing this. I just think that we're going to need to take a break since it's, again, about naming a newborn son. And we are currently trying to name our newborn son. and we're dealing with all that stuff. And this is making that name selection feel very difficult. So we're probably going to put this on hold for a little bit. But highly recommend picking it up, though, so far at least. I'm also reading this book that I've referred to here on the channel as like a spooky space book several times. This is called Dead Silence. I'm reading this with a friend of mine. This is a somewhat similar opening to Death Troopers, which I talked about earlier, where we are on a ship and we see another ship and it is abandoned. And by ship, I mean spaceship. This is a sci-fi horror story. So the members of this ship that we are on see what is essentially like an ocean cruise ship, but like the space version of it. It was like a luxury cruise ship for space that was made, and there was a big, grand voyage or whatever, grand voyage words, kind of like Titanic, but out into the stars. And it goes missing, and it's missing for a long time. And these people on this ship see it, and they're like, oh my God, we are going to make so much money because we just found this ship, and it was, again, like a luxury ship. So there's a lot of stuff that costs a lot of money on that ship, and we should go and take it, essentially. Like, go and whatever, steal it, sort of, but take ownership of it, because this ship is kind of just abandoned in space. There seems to be some sort of like laws set in place where they can kind of take ownership of this abandoned space vessel if they can stake their claim on it, essentially. And so that's their plan. They want to just do that. They want to go there, take some stuff, make a lot of money, and do it kind of like in a legal way, sort of. So that's their plan. But and that's where I'm at in the story, and that's all dust jacket material. Again, no spoilers at all. But yeah, I don't really know where it's going to go from here. I know a little bit because there's a little bit of heavy-handed hinting towards the direction that we're heading, but I don't fully know. So we'll see what happens. Some of the writing has been a little bit of a challenge to read, but the premise is really fun. The dialogue is less so here and there. I can read you a quote from the page that I'm on currently. This is a quote from a character named Voller, who is essentially this like insufferable character, I think by design, but he's the worst. And they're talking about some person. It doesn't matter. You don't need the context to know that this is just a dumb thing to say. He says, "Let me guess, Chica wanted the cha-ching to keep cha-chinging." Like, okay, shut up. Just shut up forever. I don't care about you. I'm really looking forward to when that character dies, because I feel like he is going to. So that's good. I think it's heading in a good direction. Like, it's heading in the direction of like a good time. I don't know if it's heading into a 5-star range, but it could be 4 potentially. I'm having a good time with it when I do pick it up. So that's great. I'm not liking the narrator though. I was initially doing this fully on audio, and then I have my other book here that I'm reading physically, but I am not liking the narrator for this book. It's not that they're terrible, but they have this way of talking that I feel like they're like, oh, this is a horror book, I'm gonna be scared, and they're scared the whole time. And it's like everything that she says as the main character, especially, it's like she's like out of breath, and it's so dramatic, and everything feels like somebody just died. And it's like, no, they didn't die yet. They're going to die, but they didn't yet. Everybody's still cool. So relax a little bit. But again, I'm like 60-something pages into this, so I can't really give you much more, but I am having a good time, all things considered. And the final book that I want to talk about today is one that I'm really enjoying. This one. This is the one I'm 88 pages in. So I'm getting there. I'm not too far in, but I'm getting there, and I'm having a really good time with this. We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver, who is an author that I've never heard of before. I've heard of this book, but I never heard that name before I picked this up. It's really fun so far, though, or not fun. That's not necessarily the right word. It's creepy for sure, though. I was literally reading this upstairs, and I'm not one who gets like scared very easily or very often, but I was reading this upstairs, and I needed something down here, like in my basement. This is where I film, is in my basement. And I genuinely, I was like, I'll wait till tomorrow when the sun comes out, because I'm not going into my basement right now, because I was reading a scene about them in the basement, and it was just eerie. Nothing even happened yet, because I'm too early in for like the big scary stuff to happen, but it was eerie, and it genuinely made me not want to go into my own basement. And my basement is like finished and like clean, and like I'm here all the time. So, and I'm 33 years old. Like I should be comfortable going into my own basement, but I was not. So well done, Marcus Cleaver. I cannot wait to see where this goes. The premise is what it sounds like, right, from the title. There's people that live in this house now, right? They just bought it. I think they're essentially, they flip houses. That's their like job, essentially, or like not their job, but that's how they make their money. So they buy this house kind of in a wooded area, and they move in, but just kind of in an effort to renovate this house so that they can sell it, so they can buy another one and do the same thing. And so they're doing that. They're starting the work on this house, but they are living in it while they do that. And somebody knocks on their door, and they say, "We used to live here. Can we come in and take a look around? I would love to show my kids the house that I grew up in." I guess honestly, it's really just one guy that used to live there. Not we, but I. So I don't know what that's about. Maybe that's just a more catchy title, or if there's going to be a we. Interesting. I used to live here is what he says. Interesting. We'll see. Anyway, he says, "I used to live here. I would love to show my family around now, if that's cool with you. Just 10, 15 minutes tops, we'll be out of here." She says no. They start walking down the driveway. She immediately feels bad about it, and she's like, "All right, never mind. Come on in. So they do. And I can't really tell you much more than that, because that's essentially, that's the premise. That's what's on the back here. Actually, don't read the back of this book. Don't read the synopsis. Don't watch other reviews of this book yet, maybe, because the back of the book just spoiled something for me, which is annoying. I don't like that. Why'd they do that? Why'd they say that? I'm 88 pages in, and I didn't know about something that he told me on the synopsis. You shouldn't do that. That's annoying. So I don't like that. Anyway, it's a good book. I'm excited to finish it. I'm excited to get to the part where this thing happens too. Stupid. Now I'm annoyed. That's dumb. Whatever. I'm still liking it. It's still very good. I can't wait to pick that up again. It's been a long time since I've picked up a physical book and just been able to just read it. Like to sit down with it and feel like I can't put it down. So that's really refreshing. I've been stuck in like audiobook mode for a while now. So it feels good to want to pick up a physical book and like sit down and have the attention span to just stick with it. That's been cool. I've been liking that. So that says something about this author's writing, I think. It's not me. I'm definitely not in a place where I have time to be sitting down and reading a physical book, but I really want to do that. And that's, again, a testament to the quality of the writing in this book. So yeah, we used to live here. So far, so good. Looking forward to giving you like my full thoughts after this one. I think there will be a full review in the works here, unless it really just tanks after the part that I'm at right now. But I don't see that happening. And that is it. Those are all the books that I read since my last like big reading update, and yeah, and all the books that I'm currently reading. I am not going to really tell you much about what I'm planning on reading next, outside of the fact that Station 11 is officially the buddy read pick for November. Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This is my first Emily St. John Mandel book, and I cannot wait to get to it. I own 3 of her books because I'm convinced that I'm really going to like her stuff and her style and all that, and her Stories all sound really interesting. All I really know about this is that it's like sort of post-apocalyptic sci-fi type stuff. But the like apocalypse that I'm calling it, which I don't know if it really counts as that, but whatever. The civilization as we know it comes to an end, right? That's what it says here. That's all related to a pandemic, which feels just relevant to the world that we live in now because we've lived through a pandemic not so long ago. I don't know if you remember that, but that should be interesting to read about alternatives to how that could have ended. Or not, I don't know if it's ended, but anyway, you get what I mean. Should be good. Really looking forward to it. I will probably drop a little more information on this at some point. I like to do like a video dedicated to the like a kind of like a book preview. So I might have time to do that in the next few days and talk about how this is the pick in like a full video on its own, but probably not due to the nature of my current life situation. Like I mentioned several times here on the channel, I mean the baby. I'm going to have a baby soon. But check it out on your own. And if you want to read this with me, this is probably the only book that I'm going to read next month. We'll see. But I would love to have you join the Fable. There will be a Fable link in the description. Yeah, feel free, join in. I would love to have you. That is probably where I will be the most reachable for the foreseeable future, because I again probably won't have a ton of content coming out here. Honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to this like forced hiatus from the channel. I think YouTube changed its algorithm recently. It seems like, and it's hurting a lot of small channels like my own. At least that's what I'm hearing from other people who have channels at similar sizes to my own. And that's put a weird, like, I don't know, like a pall over this whole thing for a little while. The numbers aren't coming in like they normally do. The comments aren't coming in like they normally do. I'm still enjoying it. Like I said at the beginning of this, like I'm doing this video because I really wanted to right now, even though I don't have time to be doing this, right? But it's fun. I have fun with this, so I wanted to do this, and I will be continuing to do this. I'm not planning on slowing down or stopping at all, but I am planning on slowing down for at least a little while. Again, because of the baby, but also because I think I need a little bit of a reset, a little bit of a recharge. So for the month of October, I don't know what to tell you to expect. Expect to see me here and there. I'm not going to be on a regular upload schedule, most likely. There's every chance that I will have time to film and that I will film, but currently I don't feel like that's going to happen, and I don't feel like I'm going to be pushing myself to do it. If it doesn't fit into my schedule, I'm not going to do it. If the editing doesn't fit into my schedule, I'm not going to do that. So uploads will when they be. When they will, when they be, when when they are. Uploads will happen when they happen, is what I mean. And yeah, I hope that's all right. I hope that you stick around. I hope that you still engage with the videos that I do put out. I hope that you join the buddy read. I hope you don't disappear, honestly. I hope you're still here when I come back in full force, whenever that may be. If this is your first time here on the channel and you had a good time, you can let me know by hitting the subscribe button or joining me in the comments below. Let me know what books you've read in October, what books you're planning to read to close out the month. Have you read any of the books that I talked about here today? Really, anything at all. I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I will see you when I see you. Bye.